You wake up, look at the clock, 3:07 in the morning. Again. There was no nightmare, it's all silent, but her eyes simply open as if someone had turned on a switch. This happens night after night. And the curious? This also happens with millions of older adults. But perhaps this is not just a sign of age. What if your body were trying to warn you of something? What if this error were actually a message? Waking up at 3 a.m. is so common among older people that a lot of people don't even question anymore. But sleep science shows that these awakenings reveal something deeper. And yes, there is an explanation for that. We are not just talking about aging. We are talking about real changes in your body. Hormones, internal temperature, brain activity, and even digestion. All of this changes over time. And when you understand what is behind these awakenings, to blame yourself and start taking better care of your sleep. Imagine the scene. It's all dark, the silent street, the room in peace, but you're awake, lying without understanding why. You dinner early, avoided your phone, even read a few pages before bed. And yet, 3 a.m., and there you are, awake, for no reason. Your brain starts to work. Was it something I ate? Is it concerned? Why does this always happen? As you face the ceiling, your mind begins to run. Remember old problems, pending tasks, even memories of youth. It is as if calm awakened your thoughts, even when you just want to sleep. But this is not insomnia, at least not the ordinary type. Often there is no anxiety, no pain. It is something more subtle, an internal adjustment. And this adjustment has name, has cause, and also has a solution. Because what is waking up to you may be your body trying to protect you. Before continuing, if you enjoy this type of content about health, sleep, energy, and how to have a happier and more balanced life, leave your like and subscribe to the channel. One of the most common reasons for these awakenings in the middle of dawn is the natural fall in melatonin production. This hormone is primarily responsible for regulating our sleep and waking cycle. When we are younger, the body liberates melatonin in a stable and sufficient way throughout the night. But with aging, this production decreases, and the impact of it is greater than you think. Even if you can easily sleep at night, this hormonal reserve is running out over time. Around 2 a.m., 3 a.m., it can be so low that the body simply understands that it is time to wake up. And it happens without pain, no nightmare, no noise. It's a chemical awakening. The brain, without the melatonin signal, begins to get out of rest. Joanna, 50, began to realize this a few months ago. He worked all day, fed well, and kept a quiet routine. But every night I woke up between 3 a.m. and 4 a.m., unable to go back to sleep. At first he thought it was anxiety. Then he began to suspect a more serious problem. Only when he read about melatonin did it all begin to make sense. She realized that even asleep in a dark room, there were small lights. The digital clock, the hallway, the street light entering the window. And the light, even minimal, further reduces melatonin production, especially in those who already produce little. Joanna also used her cell phone at night, which worsened the situation even more. The blue light of the screens directly affects the regulatory center of sleep in the brain. Understanding this, she made simple adjustments. He left his room totally dark, withdrew electronic lights, installed blackout curtains, and avoided his cell phone for at least an hour before bed. It also began to do short walks in the late afternoon, helping to regulate the natural rhythm of the body. In a few days, he realized that the awakenings continued, but they were lighter and lasted less time. Today, Joanna already understands that waking up at this time does not mean that something is broken. It is just a natural response to a body in transformation. Instead of fighting it, she learned to respect the signs. And most importantly, it began to collaborate with the body itself, creating an environment and a routine that favor sleep, even in the face of the hormonal changes of age. Another factor that contributes to these awakening at dawn is what we call the advanced sleep phase. With aging, the biological clock slows down. This means that you can start to feel sleepy early at night, and as a result, also wake up earlier. Even unintentionally, your body begins to function at different times than you were used to. In his younger years, his sleep cycle was more late, sleep at 11 p.m., wake up at 7 a.m. But over time, this cycle begins to advance, sleep arriving at 21h, wake up at 3 a.m. And if you were already sleeping deeply from an early age, Your body understands, biologically, that you have already rested enough. The problem is not in the number of hours sleeping, but at the time these hours are happening. Carlos, 66, recently retired, was realizing this in his own body. He always slept well, but began to notice that he slept on the couch watching newspaper, sometimes before 9 p.m. I went to bed right after, thinking it was all right. But almost every day I awakened at 3 a.m. with the feeling that he had slept enough, even though he was still dark outside. At first, he thought it was insomnia, tried teas, meditation, even considered taking medicine. But after an appointment and some readings, he found that his body was simply following a new pace. The solution? Carlos went on to make minor changes in the late afternoon. He went to dinner a little later, increased the lighting of the environment, and included small activities that kept the body and brain active until later. He started walking in the block around 6 p.m., read books with hot, not cold light after dinner, and sometimes made a video call with his grandchildren before bed. This gentle stimulation helped push his sleep a little further. It did not change the world, but reduced the night awakening and returned a sense of normality to its rest. Many people do not realize this move from sleep because it happens slowly. But when you understand that your body may be sleeping and waking up early without it being a defect, everything changes. It's not a problem, it's an adaptation. And with minor adjustments, it is possible to align this new pace with your routine without giving up the quality of life. Sometimes what wakes you up at 3 a.m. is not the biological clock or melatonin, it's the body itself asking for attention. Back pain, rigid joints, reflux, cramps, full bladder. All this may seem small during the day, but at night, when everything is silent, it becomes impossible to ignore. The body ages, yes, but that does not mean silent. With the advance of age, sleep is also lighter. The deep phases, which previously occupied much of the night, are decreasing. This makes the body more sensitive to any stimulus. A change in temperature, an uncomfortable position, even a slight dryness in the mouth can be enough to get you out of the rest. And the detail. Often you don't even realize that this is what woke up to you. Cesar, 71, lived this on the skin. He spent months waking up around 3:30 a.m. without understanding why. I didn't feel strong pain, but I couldn't go back to sleep either. It was only when he talked to his doctor that he discovered something important. One of the remedies he took for pressure caused him to urinate more at night, which interrupted sleep without him or realizing the reason. In addition, he had a dinner habit late and lie down shortly thereafter. The reflux came silent, without burning, but with a slight sense of discomfort that made him move and wake up. He also noticed that, over time, his knees and hips were sore for spending a long time in the same position. Small pain, accumulated throughout the night, became one of the main triggers for the awakening. With medical advice, Cesar adjusted the time of medicine, began dinner early, and included light stretch before bed. He also exchanged the older mattress for a firmer and used extra pillows to better support his legs. The result was not a miracle, but a much more continuous rest and the feeling that his body was finally being heard. It is important to understand that the body, even when it bothers, is not failing with you. On the contrary, it is communicating. Waking up in the middle of the night may be a subtle warning that something needs adjustment in position, routine, healthcare. And when you see this as a dialogue, not as a punishment, everything changes. You have control over your own sleep again. Now that you understand the main reasons behind the awakening at 3 a.m., it's time to act. The first step is to adjust the environment. Eliminate lights in the room, use thick curtains, and turn off that flashes. Total darkness favors melatonin production, even in those who already produce less. Also, avoid any screen at least 1 hour before bedtime. Another key point is the time of meals. Dinner late and lie down soon after favors reflux and disrupts deep sleep. Prefer light meals made up to 2 hours before bedtime. A warm tea of chamomile or fennel helps signal brain relaxation, and if possible, create a sleep ritual, something repeated every night, such as listening to a calm song or reading in yellow light. During the day, walk. Expose yourself to natural light. Talk to someone. This regulates the biological clock and improves sleep at night. And if you're dozing during the day, try to keep these naps short and before 3 p.m. These are small changes, But that constantly help your body return to sleep better, or at least wake up less confused in the middle of the morning. Sometimes the awakening of the 3H does not come from the body, comes from the soul. Many older adults report that upon waking up, they are not in pain or concerned about something specific. They just feel a silence that weighs, an emptiness that echoes. It is in these moments that emotions kept for years gain space. Memories, losses, longing, regrets, doubts. Gloria, 80 years old, widow, almost a decade ago, began to wake up at this time and stayed there, still, with her head full of memories. First, he thought it was loneliness. Then he realized it was deeper. It was the heart asking for attention. He then decided to leave a small notebook by the bed. When I woke up, I wrote what came to mind. No filters, no haste. This simple gesture made her feel relief. It was like taking a weight off the chest without talking to anyone. In addition, he started listening to soft music at night and writing letters to dear people, even if he never sent them. Small rituals that gave voice to emotions. Because the body does not always need to sleep to rest. Sometimes it is the soul that needs to be heard. Waking up at 3 a.m. it may seem a nuisance, but it may also be an opportunity. A kind sign that something in you, whether physical, hormonal, or emotional, is asking for care. Instead of fighting with your body, it may be time to listen to it. Because he is not punishing you, he is trying to collaborate with you. Understanding these changes helps to live more lightly. When you understand what is behind the awakening, guilt goes away, fear decreases, and a new kind of relationship with your own body is born. Aging is changing, but it doesn't mean losing sleep. It means learning to take care of yourself in another way. If this video helped you understand better what happens to your sleep, tell in the comments. Which of these reasons made the most sense to you? Take the opportunity to enjoy, subscribe to the channel, and share with someone who is also waking up at 3 a.m. without understanding why. Sometimes a simple explanation changes everything.